Bro, I lost fucking hundreds of subs because I said I don't think you should phone people up to get their fucking jobs taken away because they posted an edgy meme about Charlie Kirk. And apparently I'm, making sure that I don't lose the rightoids because I'm saying, this seems out of fucking context actually.
He quite literally died under a banner which read, "Prove me wrong." How explicit does the universe need to be with its symbolism?
Don't fucking test me on British politics, you fucking retard, okay? Reform have never governed before.
I mean, come on. It's not like they can do anything.
Oh my god, this close. Oh, the close up, dude. There's no way. ThoughtSlime's raped. Oh, ThoughtSlime just raped himself in his confusion. Ooh. We have had every single fucking angle that I could conceive of with the Charlie Kirk tent, okay? So, we have had the rightoids are being too nice to Charlie Kirk. The leftoids are being too mean about Charlie Kirk. But now we've got the leftoids are being too nice about Charlie Kirk. Charlie Kirk died 5 weeks ago. Old news. Well, Mildred has only just put the video out. Mildred's been busy. And the question you're going to ask yourself is, what has Mildred been busy with? Well, I'll tell you what Mildred's been busy with. Mildred's been busy having a makeover. Okay? That's what Mildred's been up to. Mildred's been having a little makeover. So the last time that we, I think, watched Mildred, I think they were actually a little bit more reasonable looking, I want to say, maybe?
Strongly, and...
well, at least they look like a fella here. They look like just a kind of a standard fella. I don't know, dude. So this, I think, is the last time we took a look at Mildred. Mildred is ThoughtSlime, for those of you that don't know, okay?
Okay, that's wonderful. But how do I make money off depressed people?
Stylo is an N, this will be a gem, let's go.
No, they weren't wearing makeup here. Were they wearing makeup here?
You're gonna want to use...
Okay, this is another time that we took a look at what Mildred was up to. Boom. There we go.
Folks.
So this is another look. This is another look they were going for. Now, I'd just like to point out, if you look closely, you'll notice... What do you notice? No makeup. No makeup. You've just got the glasses. Okay, and they've kind of done their hair a bit squiffy like this.
Okay, that's
right?
wonderful. But how do I make money off depressed people?
Thank you. Thank you very much for the super chat. I appreciate it. Now, in this video, to the untrained eye, you might think, well, they look exactly the same here. Wrong. In this one, they put a little bit of an eye wing. They've got a bit of an eye wing going on, you'll see here. You see that? You see the eye wing? You see that?
The charity...
You see the eye wing going on? So, very similar. To the untrained eye, you'd think that's the same. It's not. They've got eye makeup on. Okay? And then, in this video, this was what they decided to go with. Recovering chemotherapy patient, I think is what they were going for in this one. Very interesting look. Very interesting.
Okay, that's wonderful. But how do I make money off depressed people?
Today's episode, Chud's barely disguised fetish.
Okay, bro.
He said or did.
Okay. And, dude, there's loads of these.
Wonderful.
There's loads of
But
these.
how do I make money?
Thank you for the
off
super chat and thank you for the tip.
Stylo says coal so often because it's the only thing that's as black and as miserable as he is.
That is insane. Thank you. Thank you very much. This is quite an interesting look. Kind of like Pee Wee Herman, pedo edition, I would say, is this look. Dude, this is so good. You can literally do an entire segment just comparing all the different ways that they look. So yeah, that's this one. In any case, they've been very busy, slaving away at the makeup desk, trying to come up with a new look. Okay. And I'm pleased to report that ThoughtSlime has succeeded. And
About this?
ThoughtSlime has got a brand new look to show the world in this video where they talk about, oh, well, I don't know, something to do with Charlie Kirk. So we'll make what we can of this. I think this is going to be fun. I've got a good feeling about this. Here we go. It's called Why Libs Love Charlie Kirk a Lot.
Coming at you with a timely video. By now, you're probably sick of hearing about Charles Entertainment Kirk. I know I am. I was sick of hearing...
Dude! What the fuck? Non-binary librarian. What is this? Look. So, what you'll notice is more subtlety in the makeup. So, you know, you can see, I mean, I'm not a makeup guy. That's eyeliner, I think. But you notice they've, you know, moved away from the winged eyeliner perspective and they're going more for a subtle, they're going for a more subtle look here, okay? Actually got similar glasses frames to me, so that's a bit embarrassing, that's rough, that's tough. That's tough, but it does look like they've lost weight, so well done Mildred. Mildred's lost a few pounds, well done, that's great stuff. And they've got these kind of like toxic potion earrings on too. So, that is what we're dealing with, ladies and gentlemen. That is what we're dealing with today. Yes, they are transitioning. They're granny maxing. They're granny maxing. Yes, exactly. So anyway, let's get into this and see what Mildred's got for us today.
about him years ago, but I'm way sicker of it now that he's been murdered. I don't want to talk about this. Everybody's already talked about it, and we're all sick of debating whether we need to be civil about him, sick of the apologetics done to present him as a harmless advocate of free speech and open debate as...
Wait a second. Okay, hang on.
Sick of the apologetics done to present him as...
Right. I can totally understand. Okay.
Okay,
thank you for the super chat.
But
thank
how
you.
do I make money off depressed people?
He's no finster.
I can understand disagreeing and contesting an opinion piece about this if you want, right? What the fuck do you want Gavin Newsom to say, bro? Like,
okay, that's
it's a bit queer Obama posting.
Depressed people.
Sure.
He looked like a Pee Wee Herman with the green tie and such. I think it's obvious that they get blacked by Cowboy Curtis in the Playhouse.
Hey, dude, thank you for the super chat. Thank you. Like, I understand it's a bit fake, faux gravitas Obama posting, but, like, what the fuck do you want Gavin Newsom to say, bro? Yeah, I'm glad that loser got shot to bits, actually. Fuck that guy. It's like complete optical political suicide. Like, you've got to give the fucking take. You've got to do the faux gravitas fucking Obama shit if you're a libtard talking about this with a public platform, you know? So... I don't really take any issue with this. I totally understand why, like, a libtard politician would tweet something like this out. It makes perfect sense. Why burn? Like, Gavin Newsom, I don't know the ins and outs of it, but he's been trying to push forward and gain some kind of positive attention. Why would he unnecessarily burn through optical gains that he's potentially made by being blasé about the Charlie Kirk shooting when he can just, you know, put out a tweet and just say, hey, you know, this is really tragic, this is really sad, democracy is important, okay? Because obviously, particularly if he's considering a presidential run, he's got to think about the fact that he's got to appeal to fucking people that are currently voting for Trump, bro. So yes, he does have to have some consideration of optics. It's utterly ridiculous to act like it's unreasonable for a libtard politician to say something like this. Oh, was he also nice to him on his podcast as well? And why do you think that is, guys? Why do you think that is? Because he's, at some point, running for president. So he doesn't want to go on there and piss off all the fucking Trump tards. I mean, he has a bit of bullish fucking backwards and forwards of some of the tweets that he's putting out, sure. But he obviously wants to present himself, he wants to present himself strategically so that he's got the ability to appeal to these voters later on down the line.
As a harmless advocate of free speech and open debate, as though the contents of his speech and what he debated in service of are irrelevant. I don't want to participate in a tiresome, feckless debate about whether one must be civil in the face of a personal tragedy befalling an evil dipshit.
You don't have to be civil if you don't want to be. Although I'm told that you get your HR department called if you're too uncivil, which obviously you know my take about. But it's like you're asking others to be uncivil because you don't like seeing people being civil about him. And these are people who are politicians that have got strategy to consider and they've got pragmatism that they're going to be thinking about. And you might not agree with that, and you might not care, but at the end of the day, you know, Gavin Newsom has got a political strategy that he is fucking executing right now, and it seems deranged that you're going to sit here and wag your finger at him and tell him, no, you've actually got to be blasé. You've actually got to post to Charlie Kirk getting shot in the neck, Wojak, actually, Gavin Newsom.
From my tone, you can probably determine my position on that. Nor do I want to spend this time dancing on his grave, because as much as I disliked the man, on balance, I do tend to dislike targeted
wonderful.
political
But how do I
assassination
make
less.
money
But
off
be-
press
Oh, okay. There we go. What was the monstrosity on my phone screen? Mildred. Mildred is the quintessential self-destructive lefty. They don't care about political actors navigating the current system. Quite the opposite. They're praying for its swift destruction. Yep, very true.
Beyond that, his death creates a lot of problems for everyone else that we are clearly not prepared to handle. More on that later. Not that I really need to explain what I mean by that anyway, because you're a person on the planet, you've read a news headline in the last 2 weeks, you know what I'm talking about. No, I have a much simpler purview for this video. To ask, why do libs feel the need to defend Charlie Kirk and those like him? Now I get why right-wingers do. I understand what they get out of it. He's their guy, after all. They want to sanitize his image and do this whole myth-making process to have a martyr they can use to justify all of the horrible shit they clearly wanted to do anyway. Makes perfect sense. No questions there. But libs? Libs are supposed to dislike this kind of stuff. Why are they participating in this process? Why are they so reverent? I get why they're like condemning Charlie's murder. That makes sense. Like, I get why they'd be quick to say, hey, yo, we don't want to see people get killed, even people we don't like. No notes. I don't have a problem with that. In abstract, I agree with it.
Whoa!
And so, like, let me be careful in how I phrase
fuck,
this.
bro? Oh, guys, wasn't it based when we killed the heckin' Nazis and the heckin' fascists? Bro, like, this shit is so cancerous, dude.
Okay, that's wonderful.
Also,
But how
is
do
that
I make
TOS? I
money
don't actually
off
know.
depressed people?
Thank you for the £2. Thank you. Oh, yeah. It was so heckin' chungus when the fascists got strung upside down, wasn't it?
On account of YouTube's terms of service, because like it's really easy to be snide and callous, as I will.
Oh my god, bro. Dude, I'm going to start timing people out for complaining. It's just fucking outrageous, dude. What's wrong with this content? This is perfectly fine. This is exactly the kind of stuff I've covered before. And now because you're so jaded and cynical, you're calling it coal. Bro, fuck off. Come back tomorrow. Jesus.
Will prove throughout this video when I am snide and callous, but and I might not personally have cause to grieve the death of this evil shithead. I don't want to be perceived, however, as celebrating his murder. It's sad when people are murdered. Like, my heart goes out to his family and kids and all that, and nobody deserves to lose a loved one. Assassination is a bad thing.
Okay. It's expressed in a really irritating way, but at least we got that. This, yeah, dude. This isn't coal.
Okay, that's wonderful.
This is
How
slime.
do I make
This is
money
slime, bro.
off
This is
depressed
slime tent we're dealing with. HRT stuttering, possibly.
We don't like it, do we, folks?
God, I fucking...
But all of that having been said, let us not mince words. Each day, Charlie Kirk rolled out of bed and worked tirelessly to make the world less safe, to raise the temperature, to make political violence more commonplace, acceptable, and lauded. He expressly did not give a shit about the victims of gun violence. He encouraged others not to give a shit about them either. He quite explicitly...
Wait, okay, hang on a sec. Hang on. Wait, slow down. Slow down, bro. Okay? I think there's some commentary that's to be had talking about the things that Charlie Kirk believed, and I've said this myself when I've spoken about this issue. But the idea that he didn't give a shit about the victims of gun violence because he was a stalwart advocate and supporter of the Second Amendment is fucking deranged. Wait, what did I say? What did I say? Bro, okay. Actually, I believe ThoughtSlime is non-binary. So... You know, and I think, you know, yes, it was kind of, it was funny to do, oh, you support the Second Amendment, look what happened. But realistically, what Charlie Kirk was saying was, I believe in the Second Amendment, okay? Yes, there's deaths, but there's also car deaths that happen, and we still allow cars. I think guns are a good thing to have in society, even though there's deaths. Now, you can argue the toss about that and differentiate between guns, cars, whatever you want to do, I don't fucking care. But the idea that this indicates he doesn't care about the victims of gun violence is not really a fair or accurate characterization of what he's talking about here. And also, again, if you want to argue the toss about all of this, fair enough. That's your fucking discretion and your lookout. But the idea that you're going to obligate others, particularly those in like precarious political campaigns when they're trying to, execute a strategy, you're going to demand or expect them to do the same as you. Well, no, of course not. Why the fuck would they? I'm pretty sure ThoughtSlime is very disinterested in like, democracy and voting and shit like that. He's a fucking radical lefty guy. Radical lefty woman. Radical lefty NB. So he's obviously trying to... Gavin Newsom is trying to like engage in the system in a way that gets him fucking elected. So he's got a completely different way of handling all of this.
Said that he felt that gun deaths were an acceptable sacrifice in the name of protecting the Second Amendment.
I think it's worth to have a cost of, unfortunately, some gun deaths every single year so that we can have the Second Amendment to protect our other God-given rights.
He said that feeling empathy for mass shooting victims allowed them to, quote, hijack the narrative. Hijack it from whom? Who else would this narrative belong to? In fact, he believed people shouldn't really care about others at all, just like in general.
Empathy and sympathy. I can't stand the word empathy, actually. I think empathy is a made-up New Age term that does a lot of damage, but it is very effective when it comes to politics. Sympathy I prefer more than empathy. That's a separate topic for a different time.
So, the man...
Bro... It's just so interesting how they go for the most, like, shitter points against Charlie Kirk. Well, the thing is that it's in the clip show that he believes in sympathy, not empathy. Oh, dude, I don't know, man. I don't know, dude. I think there are probably better arguments that can be made, and he's just... They are making the worst ones.
And we are meant to be having empathy for, to respect the beliefs of, literally believed empathy was damaging nonsense. It's actually an insult to his memory to have empathy for him, which is one of the reasons why I try to do it. There has seldom existed.
Okay. So, you don't have empathy for him, but you can then have sympathy for him. I mean, would empathy even be appropriate for someone that's been shot to bits? I wonder what it would feel like to get shot. I wonder what it might feel like to get shot through the neck to death. Right? Right? Am I fucking like, you would feel sympathy for the person? Empathy is about putting yourself in their shoes and trying to understand what they might be going through or feeling. And that would not really be appropriate when someone's dead, because it's supposed to be a way to understand what they're going through at that point in their life or something, right? Anyway.
Such a high-profile and explicit advocate of arbitrary political violence. Kirk celebrated political violence done to his enemies when Paul Pelosi was attacked in his home by a hammer-wielding intruder.
I see ThoughtSlime's been watching Creeman from the looks of it.
Charlie Kirk called for a, quote, patriot to bail out the attacker. He celebrated Trump's occupation of D.C., calling for shock and awe, force, and referred to the people being targeted as cockroaches.
Thank you for £2. I can't empathise with someone who's dead. I'm not. Very true.
Very specific language that may not have been a deliberate invocation of Nazi rhetoric, but very much accords with it. And he was, of course...
Oh, come on, dude. Like, yeah, sure. You're dehumanising them. I don't think he was thinking, oh, remember that poster where the Jews were portrayed as cockroaches? I'm going to say that.
Explicit Zionist and defended the genocide in Gaza, where hundreds of thousands of people have been murdered so far.
You know, it's funny. I used to say that, hey, if you as a gay person would go...
Well, hang on a minute. Whoa. Hold up. ThoughtSlime is clearly not aware of the Mossad narratives about this guy. Hang on a minute. Dude, that's why he got killed, because he changed his mind. Am I right?
To Gaza, they'd throw you off of tall buildings, right? Now they don't have any tall buildings left, so I don't... Is that too soon? I'm sorry. Maybe you shouldn't kill Jews, stupid Muslims.
So much so, in fact.
Bro. Dude, isn't it fucking hilarious? Dude, he was so zogged out back in the day. Dude, he was at fucking incredible levels of zogged out. Holy fuck, bro. Whereas more recently, he was way more fucking measured, to the point where he's even criticising Netanyahu, right? No, not recent, not before his death, no. Right? There was comments where we were saying, yeah, Netanyahu's raped or something.
That Israeli Prime Minister and international war criminal Benjamin Netanyahu tweeted his grief over Charlie Kirk's death, referring to Kirk as a lion-hearted friend of Israel. He routinely targeted vulnerable people, and I'm not talking about like populations of people here.
Wait, dude, okay. This is like badly researched. He's not even talking, dude. The reason that Netanyahu tweeted this out was because they were trying to engage in narrative control, because it turned out that Charlie Kirk had all these fucking criticisms of like Jewish donors and was starting to criticize Israel more. Bro, it's like completely fucked up. Dude, you can still make a point that's critical of Israel if you want, but this is completely not accurate, up-to-date information about what Charlie Kirk was like going through at the end of his life. Dude, even the... Dude. Lazy. Very lazy. Watch a Candace Owens stream and you get the truth of this.
He routinely targeted vulnerable...
Charlie's cool quotes. Because Jewish donors have been the #1 funding mechanism of radical, open border, neoliberal, quasi-Marxist policies, cultural institutions and non-profits. This is a beast created by secular Jews. Oof, that is interesting.
People. And I'm not talking about like populations of people here, though obviously he did that as well. I'm talking about specific individuals. He weaponized his platform of millions to direct bigoted harassment towards lists of educators, supposedly brainwashing the nation's youth.
Ooh, that's rough. I don't like that.
Stirring up hate and making the listed people the targets of harassment and
What is this? What's this terrible comment that I'm seeing here? I'm going to R you in front of your children. That's my least favourite hate mail, Nielsen said. For a while I told my husband, I need you to read my emails and just put them somewhere, and then my husband could not do it. Okay. Yeah. Is this you? The most base thing ever? No, come on. That's obviously fucked up.
Potential violence. His political project, his goals and aspirations were uniformly violent. Uniformly...
Yeah, I can't do the big bungee video on YouTube. I'll do it on Kick.
Barbaric. He believed in state-sponsored murder for LGBTQ plus people.
Is in Leviticus 18, is that thou shalt lay with another man shall be stoned to death. Miss Rachel, you quote Leviticus 19, love your neighbor as yourself. The chapter before affirms God's perfect law when it comes to sexual matter. Lay with another man shall be stoned to death. God's perfect law when it comes to sexual matter.
He believed in forcing children who've been the victim...
Wait, hang on, hold on. Okay. I do not know, I've not seen that full clip. My understanding was that he was using it to make a point or criticizing it or something. I don't think he actually believed that. My understanding is Charlie Kirk was quite broad church to the homos. And, I mean, he knocked about with that fucking black gay guy for ages and defended him against the groypers. And I think, even to the point of his death, I'm pretty sure that he was open tent towards the gays, no? Have we got the full context of this? Does anyone have the full context?
State-sponsored murder for LGBTQ plus people.
Is in Leviticus 18, is that thou shalt lay with another man shall be stoned to death. Miss Rachel, you quote Leviticus 19, love your neighbor as yourself. The chapter before affirms God's perfect law when it comes to sexual matter. Lay with another man shall be stoned to death. God's perfect law when it comes to sexual matter.
He believed in...
Can someone link the full context? My guess is he's pointing out that Miss Rachel is using certain Bible verses to make a woke point, essentially. And he's pointing out, well, there's another Bible verse just before that you would be completely against, I would have thought.
But you want me to respond to something, Jack, then I got to go.
Well, I want you to respond to what Miss Rachel did next.
This is what pissed me off.
Did next, and this is what I was like. The minute I saw this, I was like, I need Charlie's take on this. She comes in and says, you know, folks, and then so she takes off the Miss Rachel costume and the uniform, etc. And she comes back and she's like, now I'm just talking as Rachel, and she goes, the reason I'm this way is because I'm Christian, and in the Bible it says love your neighbor, and really I approach people in love, and if you're not doing that, I guess you're not really following the Bible. She didn't say that part. You're not following the Bible. Bible, but that was kind of the underlying piece there. So Charlie, what's going on with that?
Well, let's let her say it. 120, I'll respond, and then I got a dash.
I've shared prayers on here before and said, God bless. And that's because my faith is really important to me. And it's also one reason why I love every neighbor. In Matthew 22, a religious teacher asked Jesus, what's the most important commandment? And Jesus says to love God and to love your neighbor as yourself. All the law and the prophets hang on these two commandments. There's no greater commandments than these. I believe it's mentioned 8 times, love your neighbor. So yes, everyone belongs, everyone's welcome, everyone is treated with
exactly what I thought
empathy
it
and
was.
respect. It
Exactly what I thought it was. Obvious.
There are so many reasons I stand strong in love. I stand with everyone. That's who I am. And the love back and the God bless if you disagree is genuine.
Andrew?
I would just, to Jack's point, I'm dying to know, like, what do you think when Miss Rachel quotes scripture in that way?
I mean, Satan's quoted scripture plenty.
It doesn't just say love your neighbor, though. It does say love your neighbor, except in a sense.
As yourself, but hold on. She's not totally wrong when she says, first of all, the first part is Deuteronomy 6:3-5. The second part is Leviticus 19. So you love God. So you must love his law. How do you love somebody?
Here we go, folks.
You love them by telling them the truth, not by confirming or affirming their sin. And it says, by the way, Miss Rachel, you might want to crack open that Bible of yours, in a lesser referenced part of the same part of...
Dude. If I could, I mean, I did vaguely see about this and got a rough idea. But from that clip, I think you can kind of piece together what he's trying to say there. And obviously this full context makes it explicit. But yes, he's obviously saying you are basically a fucking not a Bible scholar. You're a phony Christian. And you are picking out things that you can use to back up your woke politics. But if you do actually read the Bible, there's stuff in there that you would fucking be totally antithetical to what you're saying. Dude, that is an insane clip chimp. It's so dishonest, dude. And the thing is, there's plenty of shit you can go after Kirk for as a lefty perspective. Why clip chimp? Why lie? Why lie? Why lie? Why lie? Why lie? That makes you no fucking better than the fucking, other side that does it. You're doing exactly the same fucking issue of clip chimping dishonestly to make them look worse when you don't need to.
Scripture is in Leviticus 18, is that thou shalt lay with another man shall be stoned to death. Okay, just saying. Wonderful.
But how do I make
money? Miss Rachel, you quote Leviticus 19, love your neighbor as yourself. The chapter before affirms...
Bro, you people are so fucking retarded, it's unbelievable. Chud trying to defend a horrible bigot to keep his rightoids. In fact, I think I need to just fucking ban you for that, to be honest. What a disgraceful fucking sentiment. What a disgraceful fucking sentiment. Bro, it's honestly despicable, this narrative that I'm just trying to placate the fucking rightoids. When every other fucking politics segment, I'm having to defend some fucking libtarded principle against the fucking insane rightoids that are racists that are in my fucking chat, bro. Dude, it's so obnoxious. It's just not true. It's totally fucking bogus. It's totally wrong. Bro, how many fucking times am I arguing with chat because I'm saying, hey guys, yeah, I don't think we can just deport all the fucking immigrants who need to find another way. Or fucking, I don't know, some other shit. So fucking obnoxious, man. This is not about defending Charlie Kirk, okay? I'm actually being critical, saying there's other things you could go after Charlie Kirk for. Why is it that you're dishonestly clip-chimping him to make a fake point to attack him on?
God's perfect law when it comes to sexual matters. Now, so how do you best love somebody? You love them by telling the truth. You don't have to be cruel. You don't have to be...
Bro, dude, I was making loads of fucking just comments about Charlie Kirk. Bro, I lost fucking hundreds of subs because I said I don't think you should phone people up to get their fucking jobs taken away because they posted an edgy meme about Charlie Kirk. And apparently I'm, making sure that I don't lose the rightoids because I'm saying, this seems out of fucking context, actually. This seems out of context, and I don't think it's fair to take someone out of context, even if you disagree with them.
Unchristlike in your communication.
Yeah, you don't have to be mean.
However,
you don't have to shout.
You certainly, and I would love for Miss Rachel to respond to this, is pride a Christian value? She thinks it is. Happy Pride Month, everybody. Is being proud something that we should... No, it's in fact, the scriptures tell us the opposite. Pride goeth before the fall. That...
Thank you, Based Empath Slayer, for the kick subs. Thank you.
Pride is something we need to try to reduce in our life to increase humility and increase piety.
There is one
and
list that
obedience. Say that?
I said there is one list that pride's on.
Well, listen, the Bible says have a sober view of yourself, right?
Yes.
Yeah, and
What does that
it
mean?
also says in Matthew
That seems a bit
18:6 through 4, if anyone causes one of these little ones, those who believe in me, to stumble, it would be better for them to have a large millstone hung around their neck and to be drowned in the depths of the sea. Woe to the world because of the things that cause people to stumble.
Yeah, and it's very simple. So how do you love somebody? You love them so much to correct their error.
Yeah.
And so let's just, take the pride conversation out because people think it's an identification, but it's not. It's just sexual behavior. But it's if you meet an alcoholic or you meet a drug addict, do you affirm their struggle? No. You say, you're better than this. Let's get you free from that. Let's get you free from that activity. So, Miss Rachel, you're actually not loving anybody. You're doing the opposite.
She loves money.
Oh,
The
shit.
story that we're kicking off.
So how was that framed? How did Mildred frame that clip? Where he's obviously pointing out you are cherry picking the Bible to back things up because you think it backs up your woke politics, but actually there's things literally alongside what you're saying that would be completely antithetical to your politics. How does that get framed?
Man,
And bear in mind,
Instant indicators.
bear in mind as well, right? Kirk had, I don't know what the right term of it is. Kirk's beliefs, as far as I understand it, was do what you want in your own bedroom. I don't support the lifestyle myself, but I'm not anti-gay. I don't think we should be anti-gay necessarily. So you could take issue with that even. You could say, oh, you don't support the lifestyle. That's homophobic. Whatever, right? But the idea that what was it he said?
Supposedly brainwashing the nation's youth, stirring up hate, and making the listed people the targets of harassment and potential violence. His political project, his goals, and aspirations were uniformly violent, uniformly barbaric. He believed in state-sponsored murder for LGBTQ plus people.
Is in Leviticus 18 is that thou shalt lay with another man shall be...
No, he didn't. He literally didn't. That's just a lie. That's a total lie or a misrepresentation based on a clip-chip thing. It's deranged. It's totally deranged, bro. Why make shit up?
Be stoned to death. Miss Rachel, you quote Leviticus 19, love your neighbor as yourself. The chapter before...
Chud coping hard. Okay, dude, is this another fucking troll account? Ban that account as well. Get the fuck out of here. Bro, what's the cope? We just listened to the full context, so we know exactly what he was saying here.
Affirms God's perfect law when it comes to sexual matter. Lay with another man shall be stoned to death. God's perfect law when it comes to sexual matter.
He believed in forcing children who've been the victims of rape to be made to give birth to their rapist's baby.
So if you
Okay, this one is, I think, true. And this is fucking deranged, okay? It is fucking deranged to support a raped person of any age to take a baby born, conceived as a product of rape to term. That is fucking insane shit, dude.
had a daughter and she was 10 and she got raped, would you want her to go through that and carry her rapist baby?
That's awfully graphic.
But it's a real life scenario that happens to many people.
The answer is yes, the baby would be delivered.
He believed in repealing the Civil Rights Act.
Now, look, if there's more context, I will take a look at it, okay? What other interpretation could there be? My understanding is Charlie Kirk had an extremely broad belief of when abortion should be disallowed, and it's pretty much in every occasion, right? There goes 1,000 subs. There goes 1,000 subs.
Act because he viewed people of color as innately inferior.
I'm sorry. If I see a black pilot, I'm going to be like, boy, I hope he's qualified. I want to be as blunt as possible because now I'm connecting two dots. Wait a second. The CEO just said that he's...
Now look, there is a clip of me somewhere out there. I don't know if it's clipped or not, but there's a part on my stream where I've got no grounds to say anything about this, okay? Now, my understanding is the point he's trying to make is if there's an airline that's got a DEI kind of proviso, and people are potentially getting hired on the basis of skin color over merit, then he would take that. That's why he might take this issue. But I've said before, and I stand by this, that if I'm getting on an airplane and I look up, I want to see an old white guy walking into that cockpit. Okay, maybe I'll allow a black guy to be the co-pilot. Maybe that's okay. But the main dude running the show has got to be an old white boy, and then I'll be like, oh, safe flight ahead, easy peasy. Okay. Easy peasy. So I've really got no grounds to stand on with this one.
That a white qualified guy is not going to get the job. So I see this guy, he might be a nice person. I say, boy, I hope he's not a hard...
Bro. Is it, dude? He's not saying that they're de facto qualified because they're white. Dude. Bro. What he's saying is, if an airline has got a proviso for a certain percentage of DEI hires, that would concern him that people are getting hired over race over merit. Dude, he's not saying, well, if someone's white, they're definitely qualified. What the fuck, bro? Oh my God, dude. This is so obnoxious, man.
Harvard-style affirmative action student that has points for, and he landed half of his flight simulator trials.
To put it bluntly, Charlie Kirk spent his short life in service of specifically creating the aggressive and violent conditions.
Yeah, we need to get some actual fucking hypotheticals. Charlie Kirk's well, unfortunately he's dead now. But so Charlie, what if your daughter got raped by a black Jewish man? What then? What would happen? Abortion immediately. Abortion is then allowed.
Which went on to kill him. To wit, almost all domestic terrorism in the United States is committed by white supremacists and other far-right extremists, almost all of whom would share 99% of their political DNA with Charlie Kirk. And that isn't speculation, by the way. According to a paper from the Department of Justice, since 1990, far-right extremists have committed far more ideologically motivated homicides than far-left or radical Islamist terrorists, including 200...
Okay. I don't know the ins and outs of this, okay? But even if I accept that this is true, what has this got to do with the libtards saying, oh, Charlie Kirk shouldn't have been shot and he debated his ideas? I don't... Let Mildred say their piece, okay? And then we'll see.
27 events that took more than 520 lives. In the same period, far-left extremists committed 42 ideologically motivated attacks that took 78 lives. That paper, by the way, has been removed from the Department of Justice's website in the wake of Charlie Kirk's death and the subsequent crackdown on far-left violence that most likely had nothing to do with it. His death should serve as the strongest possible repudiation of his life's work and beliefs, a demonstration that the wages of hate are violence and death. He quite literally died under a banner which read, "Prove me wrong." How explicit does the universe need to be with its symbolism? It's critical that we make that clear, because good God, have Charlie's bedfellows exploited his death to advance that hateful, violent project. The myth of Charlie Kirk is this peaceful champion of the free expression of ideas, which is being actively written right now.
Wait, sorry, dude. I'm a terrible person. I'm getting distracted.
Work and beliefs, a demonstration that the wages of hate are violence and death. He quite literally died under a banner which read, "Prove me wrong." How explicit does the universe need to be with its symbolism? It's critical that we make that clear. Because good God, have
he's just making some shitter joke,
how do I
isn't he?
make money off depressed people?
It's not true. It was ADL propaganda. Okay. Listen, guys. Okay. From what I understand, they shut down all the calling people's jobs. So I don't think the writers will be able to get this guy. And plus, he's a YouTuber, so I think it's over.
Charlie's bed.
Okay, sorry. Right. I'm listening. I'm locked in.
Terrorists committed 42 ideologically motivated attacks that took 78 lives. That paper, by the way, has been removed from the Department of Justice's website in the wake of Charlie Kirk's death and the subsequent crackdown on far-left violence that
depressed people.
Black Jewish Charlie Kirk's son. Chud, Israel told us we're not allowed to talk about Project Megamensch or any of the gene editing.
Okay. Thank you, Wild Animals, for 333. Okay. Listen now.
Most likely had nothing to do with it. His death should serve as the strongest possible repudiation of his life's work and beliefs, a demonstration that the wages of hate are violence and death. He quite literally died under a banner which...
The wages of hate are violence and death. I mean, this just feels like a faux thing. Like, he wasn't advocating for people to go and shoot random people in the neck, right? You've got maybe a better, you know, oh, isn't that ironic? He loved the Second Amendment and got shot. But, like, this doesn't really, you know, it's like, well, he didn't get shot. Like, he got shot because people didn't like his ideas and what he said. But him preaching hate, like, yeah, people really hated the fact that he had these terrible right-wing views, so they shot him. It's not like he was saying, yeah, man, I think we should go and shoot people in the neck. And then he got shot in the neck, right?
Which read, "Prove me wrong." How explicit does the universe need to be with its symbolism? It's critical that we make that clear, because good God, have Charlie's bedfellows exploited his death to advance that hateful, violent project. The myth of Charlie Kirk is this peaceful champion of the free expression of ideas, which is being actively written right now, is being used to stomp down on dissent, violate people's rights, and escalate tensions.
So I actually don't know if I even agree with this. I think at the start it was like, oh shit, the righties are fucking, you know, the righties are on the warpath. You got all these podcast bros going, this is war, we're gonna fuck, and then it just didn't do anything. They just went back to normal. I think, you know, that the federal stuff that's happening is more a product of just the general atmosphere in Trump's presidential America, whatever. I don't think it's like necessarily related to Charlie Kirk.
But how do I make money
Is
off
it?
depressed people?
Prove me wrong on an open forum where you can debate him on anything. Violence in its purest form, if I ever heard.
Very good point, Scrimpin. Thank you for the $5. Thank you. Dude, is it just me, or is this one of the biggest nothing ever happens moments going? Which is kind of, you know, a bit silly, because Charlie Kirk getting shot is something happening, but then there was all this, like, rhetoric about it. I guess maybe the Antifa getting designated as a terrorist organization could be linked to it. And there is these kind of Kirkisms, this Kirkism thing. You've got people that are referencing, alluding to, and talking about Kirk. But that seems to be more of a commentary thing, or a self-victimization thing from certain people, rather than like a substantive political thing happening. Yeah, maybe down the line, I don't know. But so far, I don't think there's really been much you could link to it directly. I mean, the thing about nothing ever happens is that when something does happen, it was inevitable, therefore nothing really happens. True.
More Charlie Kirks and...
Oh, okay. Yeah, people getting visas revoked. Yeah. Obviously, I completely disagree with that. But, like, I guess what I'm trying to get at is, at the front end of it, you had all these podcast bros going, this is war, we're going to destroy the left. They have awoken a sleeping giant, they're about to get raped. And the output is some idiot shitters get their fucking visa banned because they posted some inappropriate reason about Kirk, which I disagree with, to be clear. That's fucking insane. But it just feels like a bit underwhelming, you know? I was expecting fire and brimstone and coal. Volcanoes erupting, fucking, you know, a fucking 50 million patriots marching through the streets. I expected the fucking movie, the Civil War movie to occur, right? And it was just a bit of a damp squib in the end, in comparison to what it seemed to be. That's I guess, what I'm trying to say.
More ThoughtSlimes, for that matter, will die as a direct result of this. Okay, so with that preamble out of the way, I can move on to the question I wanted to ask in this video. Why are libs like this? You know, how come? Why are they tripping over their own dicks, not to simply condemn Kirk's assassination, but to proactively contribute to his post-mortem sanitization? Why are they so ready, nay, eager to comply with this narrative? What are they getting out of it? How come...
Well, I think, again, if it's like some opinion piece, you could argue the toss about that. But if someone's a liberal politician, particularly one that wants to run for president, it makes perfect sense why they would, you know, be willing to move a few steps in that direction. Because they're concerned about public perception and they don't want to totally rape their optics.
How come, libs? how come you're like this, libs? Like, why are you so servile, so willing to do whatever your enemies want you to do every single...
Okay, bro. What is wrong with any of this? The best way to honour Charlie's memory is to continue his work, engage with each other across ideology through spirited discourse. In a democracy, ideas are tested through words and good faith debate, never through violence. What is wrong with this, dude? This is a pitch perfect fucking response. A bit Obama, faux gravitas posting, maybe you could argue. But this is pretty reasonable, no? Kirk wasn't a good faith anything. Even if you disagree with what Gavin Newsom is saying here, for whatever reason, okay, you must understand the pragmatic need in light of stuff like this, particularly if you're in the future looking for a presidential run, to be in a position where you can reach across the aisle. At some point, Newsom is going to... At some point, Gavin Newsom is going to be reliant on people that voted for Trump voting for him. Okay? So, yes, he does have to say this. Because otherwise, he's going to end up pissing off a bunch of people he's eventually going to have to fucking rely on to get into the fucking president's office, bro. And I think he's probably quite genuine. I don't think he's saying it cynically. I think he genuinely believes this. But even if you don't like the fact he's saying it, why can you not just make a pragmatic assessment of this sort of thing? These lefties are just deranged, and they just want everyone to be as deranged as they are.
Like, why are you so servile, so willing to do whatever your...
Newsom says Democrats could learn from Charlie Kirk on reaching young men in politics. What's wrong with that? Charlie Kirk was very effective at reaching young men. Yes, they absolutely could learn. Gavin Newsom isn't saying the Democrats should be racist so they can reach young men. He's saying that Charlie Kirk clearly engaged in good, like, political efficiency or whatever to reach young people, and the Democrats should take a leaf out of that book and try with their own ideas that strategy. Bro, this is fucking nuts, dude. Totally they should be, though. Totally uncontroversial statements. Oh my god, I can't believe this lib said this, man. Oh my god.
Enemies want you to do every...
Bro, dude, Evelyn Rose, you're so fucking retarded in Twitch chat. It's unbelievable. Newsom has been drifting right with his opinion and policy proposals. What Gavin Newsom is doing is, it's so transparent, bro, if you understand how politics works, right? My understanding is he is being placed in a prime position for, I believe, the next presidential run. Okay? He's like one of the front runners, I'm fairly certain, for the next Democratic presidential candidate. Okay? And in America at the moment, I don't know if you've noticed, but your country has been totally raped by MAGA. So obviously, he is having to do things that go in that direction. I've seen exactly the same thing in my country with Labour and the drift towards the right. I don't agree with all of it. I think some of it is, probably not going to get them anywhere. But fundamentally, Gavin Newsom has got to find a way to appeal to voters that voted for Trump at the last election. So how the fuck is he going to do that if he doesn't have something that goes in their direction? He's trying to find some middle ground. It's so retarded to act like this is like some crazy thing that's happening. It's very transparent what's going on. It's very fucking transparent. And this is a totally uncontroversial statement. This is totally fine.
Single time, like, why is it so easy to get them all to stand?
Okay, this is someone else.
And in single file and step up to the podium and say, Charlie Kirk was cool and good and my best friend and I wanted to suck his dick and I don't think he ever believed anything bad ever. Like, why are you so fucking useless? All of...
Bro. He'll lose like Kamala because he'll alienate the Democrat base. We want Mandani types, not this gross slick back haircut guy. The last Democrat that won a presidential election was Biden, and he was the slick back fucking Democrat guy. Dude, I think you're delusional if you think you're going to get some fucking lefty as next presidential fucking candidate, okay? Maybe get some Democrats that run in areas that aren't Democrat safe seats that are on the left that actually win their fucking seat, and then you can talk about that, okay? I don't think it... Bro... Dude, this is like classic Bernie broism. I like Bernie. Bernie's great, okay? But you need to be realistic and pragmatic about the state of America at the moment. You're fucking delusional, bro. You're fucking delusional. They just voted Trump into office, right, on all his crazed fucking anti-immigrant policies, and you want some bleeding heart lefty to fucking run for president. Get fucking Newsom in, or someone like Newsom, and then you can fucking talk, bro. God, you people are so unpragmatic, it's unbelievable. Anyway, not really the point of this. Not really the point of this, okay? But personal to me as well, because I saw what happened with Corbyn in the UK. You're delusional if you think you're going to get a fucking far lefty over the line, or someone further to the left of like a centre-left Democrat as president. That's deranged.
The time, always. Now, please understand that when I say libs, I don't necessarily mean like liberals, not exclusively anyway. I mean it in the sense that like all hyper online.
How's Labour working out? Labour won a landslide at the last election, and it was a shallow landslide. And the reason that they're struggling now is because they've not been racist enough historically, and Reform have got in a bit. Dude, don't fucking test me on British politics, you fucking retard, okay? Reform have never governed before, so they can promise whatever they want, and people are going to support them. There's massive anti-immigrant sentiments that exist within the UK population at the moment that Reform are tapping into, and Labour are raped because they're desperately trying to chase the polling lead that Reform have got by being anti-immigrant, but they're up against a party that's never governed, so they can't challenge them on their record. Now they're trying to shift the tide by going after Reform, but they're in a very difficult, complicated position, and they've inherited an absolutely fucking raped country from the Tories. So, I don't know why you're fucking questioning me about British politics. I know way more about it than you do, okay, you fucking moron. Jesus Christ, bro! Fuck off with your lefty bullshit, dude! How are the Greens doing? How are the fucking Greens doing, bro? They got a lot of sign-ups, but Zach Polanski's getting raped every time he's fucking steps on TV!
Leftists like me use it, which is that like it's anyone who's being annoying. No, not really, but like look, I could be more specific than that, but I think you kind of get it, right? Like liberalism is a specific ideological position with specific characteristics, but I'm not really talking about that. I'm not talking about like Hobbes and Keynes and shit. I'm not talking about liberals necessarily. Though, you know, I am predominantly talking about liberals, of course. When I refer to libs, I'm talking about something broader than that, something a bit more difficult to define. We're talking about people who take for granted that the liberal democratic status quo is the natural order to which we will always inevitably return, and whose political imaginations are limited to, more or less, what exists right now with maybe some small changes here and there. Usually highly educated, otherwise intelligent people who have somehow completely lost touch with the modern political landscape and the threats which face them. I have described this phenomenon in the past as the liberal mind prison.
Hey! Yo, no way! We got a little guest appearance. Maybe later he's going to mention E and H too.
Itself functions not just as a set of beliefs, but also as the boundaries of what beliefs a mind is allowed to hold. But this logic isn't limited to just ideological liberals. No.
So the thing is, okay, I will be fair, as a lefty, in spite of what people say about me, it is true that our society is set up and structured in a way to essentially, you know, put us all in a position as we grow up to believe in and accept liberal principles about the world and about society. Okay? That is true. That is true. So yeah, I mean, I don't really have necessarily an issue with all that. He's saying it in a bit of a queer way. He's saying it in a bit of a queer way that I don't like. But other than that, yes, we do live in a liberal society, and all of our institutions are governed and set up in a way to direct everyone towards that concept. We're all foundationally liberals. That is true. Thank you for the $2. Is that Iron Man's butler? Took Tony's death hard. Wait, what?
Really. You see this everywhere once you start looking for it. From what Mark Fisher called capitalist realism to Francis Fukuyama declaring the end of history. There's just like, there's something about libs
great ideas in
which
those
makes
books.
them believe that we've arrived at some sort of invincible stability, that things will always be more or less like they are now. We can't even imagine a future that deviates too much from the structure of our current lives. I say we because I think libism, a term.
So the thing is, yes, obviously I agree with capitalist realism for those old heads. Those old heads will know, yes. But the thing is like, that is a totally fine theoretical belief and view to have. But there is obviously then, you know. Well, let's see where it goes with this. Let's see where it goes with this.
Which is distinct from liberalism because I made it up and I therefore get to say what it means, is not so much a political ideology as a bad habit that anyone, myself included, of course, can fall into. A lib isn't a thing that you are. It's a thing that you're being sometimes. Sometimes leftists are being libs. Sometimes fascists are being libs. Sometimes your dad is a lib. Sometimes Spider-Man is a lib. Everyone is libs once in a while. Let's all work on not...
No, dude, I don't even think this goes far enough. Everyone is foundationally liberal. That's what I think. I think this idea that, oh, you're sometimes being a lib. Bro, if you are like some fucking anarchist and you're not firebombing a post office, okay? Don't call yourself a fucking anarchist, okay? You're a fucking libtard masquerading as a fucking an anarchist. You're putting anarchist in your social media profile because you want to identify as an anarchist, because you want to participate in fucking Twitter, which is more fucking liberal behavior, basically, to put it simply. So, no, I don't fucking agree that you're sometimes being a lib. You're always being a fucking lib unless you're actually taking substantive action that aligns with the political ideology that you say that you have.
Being libs all the time. A lib believes that politics doesn't really change all that much. Any belief system which strays too far from the status quo reads to them as purely hypothetical and abstract. It's why they dismiss leftists and leftist propositions out of pocket for not being serious, because...
By the way, don't bomb anything. Don't bomb anything. No bombing, no stochastic terrorism, okay?
Any systemic change on its face is unserious. You can't make big changes. We've arrived at the final form of government, and all that's left is to make some minor patches along the way. We maintain the current order. We don't seek to create a new order, because that simply can't be done. Nothing can defeat the current order, and anything which does...
Well, I mean, one of the downsides of this idea is, well, yeah, because we have arrived at democracy, and we have got... what's it called when you let people vote? What's it called when you let people vote? We have got franchise. What's it called? You know what I'm talking about? Suffrage. We've got suffrage. We have got the widest suffrage. We've got like universal suffrage. Yes, exactly. We've got to a position where we've determined that everyone in society that's over the age of 18 gets to have a say in how society's run. So with this idea, these fundamental changes that you want to make, how do you plan to make those? Because if you look at the last 100 years of history, the way those changes tended to have been made is a few people have got together and gone, this fucking sucks, bro. Let's get a few more people together, go and slaughter the monarchy, and institute a society that we think is good and we think is best for everyone. And that hasn't always worked out so well. Let's put it that way. So, you know, democracy is always going to act as a barrier to widespread fundamental change. And I'm not, you know, like, I think that's probably, as much as it doesn't mean we're going to end up with our communist utopia that our comrade here is proposing, it's difficult to envision a way of doing it that doesn't then completely disregard the perspective of, you know, a bunch of people who want to have a say in what happens and how society is run.
Will inevitably collapse and return to the current order very shortly. This makes libs extremely, frustratingly unable to confront extremism of any kind. If you take it for granted that big changes are just flat out impossible, then any argument about big changes is just a matter of opinion and won't have an effect on the world one way or another. It's a hypothetical, a discussion to be had in the abstract that will have no effect on the real world. Nobody can be hurt by that except like their feelings, I guess. So as long as everyone's being polite, as long as we're all being nice and not emotionally provocative, what does it matter if we just have a difference of opinion, no matter what that opinion might be? I mean, come on, it's not like they can do anything.
Oh my god, this close! Oh, the close up, dude. There's no way. Oh, Jesus. Fucking hell, that's rough.
You know, it's all simply a discussion, an exchange of ideas. Charlie Kirk, like most right-wing media figures, was really good at manipulating this weakness. Not because...
So, yeah, this, I feel like this is going to be a, you know, 2016 to 2020 era, don't let the fascists speak take. Why don't you go and redact a fascist instead? I don't know, dude. I don't know, dude. I don't know. I struggle to see what the alternative to allowing vigorous discourse and debate and discussion is.
Because he was like slick or particularly compelling, because it's just really easy to exploit. He would frame his arguments carefully to make his profit.
How do I make money off depressed people?
Chud, this is why you are naive. Trump is 500 IQ. He did the Sun Tzu art of war, letting all the extremists show themselves so we can rid of them later.
Okay, thank you for the super chat, PD. Thank you.
Applications to violence clear enough to his audience, but always to maintain plausible.
Why are you acting like something just happened? He has a normal and mask face. He, they. What do you mean? Do I need to go through the slideshow of Mildred videos again? Bro, look at the fucking winged eyeliner with the wings clipped a bit. He's just wearing earrings. He's wearing earrings. He's got eyeliner on. He's done his hair like a grandmother.
Deniability, to limit himself to the abstract, distant proposals, things that he knew liberals would disagree with, but dismiss as impossible. Now make note, of course, he's hardly alone in this. We do this on the left all the time. Like, we know that when we call to end capitalism on a platform owned by a multi-trillion-dollar corporation, they let us get away with it because, on some level, they don't really take it seriously. It does not read to them as a genuine threat because they don't really believe it.
Bro, this is such cope, bro. Dude, this is such fucking cope, dude. You're all raped. All you breadtubers are totally raped. Diminishing influence on a platform where you're just making ad revenue to stuff in the pockets of the fucking CEO. What are you on about, dude? Dude, platform capitalism has totally raped all of these lefties. And also, wasn't it Fuki, what's the guy's name? Fukuyama. That's his point, retard. Okay, and I'm saying the idea that he's going to be able to mean it. Dude, you are so fucking stupid, it's unbelievable, bro. What I'm saying is, look, he's saying yet. I'm saying the cope is the idea that this is going to change. You fucking moron. It's not going to fucking change, is it? What do you think, if you continue to post on YouTube, all of a sudden, the fucking revolution is going to occur? No, YouTube is just going to continue to make more money. Fukuyama is the guy that spoke about, okay, the idea that, was it him that spoke about under neoliberalism, even criticism of neoliberalism and capitalism gets commodified. Right? That was Fukuyama that talked about that, wasn't it? Right? The point being that you posting on YouTube, okay, all you're doing is engaging in liberal behavior that generates profits for a massive corporation and you get a little cut as well. And that's not going to change. Unless you can fundamentally change the nature of the relationship between yourself and YouTube, unless you can go into YouTube's office and seize the means of production, that's never going to fucking change. He would agree with that point. Well, why is he putting up this queer meme saying yet? Dude, stop sweeping for ThoughtSlime, bro. This is total cope. Keep giving to the Patreon, comrades. Keep giving to the Patreon, comrades. Keep watching my videos. Eventually, we're going to seize the means of production. Keep it going. But the point is, this is all worthless. This is all totally worthless. Pointless. Pointless if you're a fucking lefty looking to bring about substantive change. This is worthless. The best thing ThoughtSlime could do if he genuinely wants to further the cause of capitalism is take a gun. No, ThoughtSlime, don't! No, he's putting it in his mouth! ThoughtSlime, stop! Don't join the 41%, stop! Okay, anyway. Anyway.
It's possible. But if I were to say we should kill Dr. Steve YouTube, the chief engagement officer of YouTube, I would go to jail for that. Rightfully so, right? Because I tried to murder a guy. For the record, Dr. Steve YouTube is a fine man, a brave man. And just because almost every single choice made by the leadership of this website is terrible, doesn't mean that I cannot be friends with Dr. Steve YouTube MD. Kirk understood he couldn't call for violence directly. That would break the rules. That would be a clear violation. That's immediate. And even libs know things like that are real threats. He'd just smile and calmly lay out the moral justification for violence to be done, granting his audience moral permission to engage in violence without ever being on the hook for it himself.
Oh God, is he doing the stochastic terrorism stuff? Oh my God, dude. Sorry, one sec. Dude. The stochastic terrorism thing is totally bogus, dude. Dude, the stochastic terrorism thing is totally fucking bogus, dude. Sorry. The stochastic terrorism thing is fucking nonsense. I completely disagree with it. I don't think it's true.
He wouldn't say something as crass as go and just violence directly. That would break the rules. That would be a clear violation. That's immediate. And even libs know things like that are real threats. He'd just smile and calmly lay out the moral justification for violence to be done, granting his audience moral permission to engage in violence without ever being on the hook for it himself.
Given that his viewers' moral justification to engage in violence without engaging it himself. You say you don't believe in it because you don't want to be implicated yourself. I don't fucking care. Bro, if someone went and blew up a post office tomorrow, you think I'd fucking give a fuck? You think I'd care? You think I'd be like, oh no, maybe my words, maybe some nutter go and blow up some fucking USPS fucking employees. No! Dude, I don't fucking care. I don't believe in violent rhetoric anyway. I completely disavow it. It's wrong in all circumstances.
He wouldn't say something as crass as, go stone gay people, everybody. That would be incitement. No, he'd simply say that we should live in accordance with the teachings of the Bible. And the Bible says we should do that if you consciously...
ThoughtSlime's raped! Oh, ThoughtSlime just raped himself in his confusion. Ooh, he didn't say that though, did he? He was making a point. About how Miss Rachel was cherry-picking things from the Bible to back up her politics, but there was other stuff that's antithetical to her politics. He wasn't advocating to live in a society that is governed by those rules. And as far as I understand, he did not agree with the homo's lifestyle, but he had a what you do in your own bedroom is your business type of fucking perspective. Yeah, dude, I tell you what they need to talk about. Okay, I tell you what that needs to be spoken about here. The link between video game violence. Forget about stochastic terrorism. What about people that play violent video games and then go and commit a violent act? I tell you what, that's something that these lefties need to get on if they're going to bang on about this fucking stochastic terrorism drum as much as they fucking do.
They ignore the much more numerous and direct parts of the Bible which say explicitly not to do that. He'd leave his audience to connect the dots, but was savvy enough never to connect them himself, making all of his violent rhetoric implication and subtext. And to libs, again, not liberals...
So here's the thing. I do think that Charlie Kirk engaged in some level of violent rhetoric, like him talking about Biden getting the death penalty. That was fucking deranged. Stuff like that, for example, right? But I don't know if he ever advocated for, like, you know, like random violence and shit, right? Unless he's talking about how bad immigrants are. Maybe that's the stochastic terrorism. Dude, I don't fucking know. I haven't watched enough of his content. Neither's ThoughtSlime, to be fair. ThoughtSlime seems to have seen a few clips on Twitter, stitched them together, and misrepresented what they said, talking about his beliefs.
Necessarily, but libs... There's a big, important distinction between saying we should stone gay people, bad, violent, dangerous, and it's my personal religious conviction that we should amend the law
Bro, dude, you see the problem with this, though?
Okay, that's wonderful. But how do I make money off depressed people?
Chud, you are an antithesis of video game violence cause you are got awful at BF6 and Gears. Kirk is a stochastic terrorist.
Hey? Dude, fuck off. Dude, should I ban PD? No, I'm not going to ban PD. They're a bit of an oiler. They're a little bit of an oiler. He never said this. He never fucking said this. He's basing this on a bad premise that Charlie Kirk believed you should stone gay people to death. Which he never said, never believed. So this is just completely wrong because you've totally misunderstood or lied or misrepresented the point he was making in that clip. That's it. This is a raped point.
Make the punishment for being gay a stoning. Merely insulting, suggestive, buffoonish. Now, sure, they wouldn't like that he said the latter. They might find it disgusting, but it's not dangerous. It could become dangerous if a critical mass of people came to believe it, but that's too big a change to expect to happen anytime soon. It's outside the scope of what they imagine is possible, so why worry about it? In their mind.
Exiting the vampire's arsehole. Dude, that is like a reference custom built for me. I exactly get the reference.
The damage done by this kind of rhetoric is exclusively emotional. It's hurtful. It's dehumanizing. It makes people feel...
He disagrees with the lifestyle. Yeah, he disagrees with two fellas sucking each other off. What's the problem? He doesn't agree with it. He doesn't agree with two fellas fucking each other's assholes. What's the issue?
Feel bad. And so they condemn it with the strongest possible wag of the finger, but it's not in and of itself like violent, right? Any violence being discussed here is just hypothetical. We don't need to concern ourselves with it as anything other than a thought experiment. It's not a threat in the real world. It's just a bad take. We can discuss this rationally because as long as it all stays within the realm of opinion, nobody gets hurt. To them, being confrontational to such an idea is just as bad as holding that idea.
Well, okay, now he's bringing in Fetterman. Fetterman. Isn't Fetterman a totally zogged out Zio-shill? Basically, from what I understand with Fetterman, he started off as being like a normal dude, and then he had a stroke, and then he realised that his sole political goal in life was to support Israel with every fibre of his being.
To them, being
unchecked extreme rhetoric, like labels as Hitler or fascist, will prevent more extreme outcomes. Political violence is always wrong, no exceptions. We must all turn it down. This is retarded. This is stupid. I completely disagree with this. It's absolutely insane. This is something that will just have a stupid chilling effect on speech. Even if you're retarded, you should be able to call people Hitler and fascist, and it doesn't mean that you are increasing the risk of violence. Okay? Like, it swings both ways. If Charlie Kirk is allowed to say whatever fucking crazy shit he believes, and I don't think that increases the risk of violence, I absolutely do not think that some fucking idiot lefty calling a moderate Republican a fascist, as long as they are a moderate Republican, obviously. Not many of them left anymore, it seems. But anyway, that's got to be allowed, and you cannot claim that that causes violence.
Confrontational to such an idea is just as bad as holding that idea. Because remember, the only thing they really see wrong with it is that it might hurt people's feelings. So if you hurt Charlie's feelings by telling him he's a piece of shit with bad ideas, you've done the exact same thing to him that he's doing to queer people. The only way...
Chud and his chilling effect. No, it's what do you mean? The chilling effect is like a thing where if you don't outwardly ban something, but you say that, saying that could have some bad outcomes. If you say that, it could lead to this impact. If you say that, it might mean people get hurt, right? It will mean that there's a chilling effect, which means that people will self-censor because they're worried about the supposed outcomes that are not even meaningfully documented or proven, right? That's what chilling effect means. And that is exactly what it is. If you broadly put out the message, if you call people fascist or Hitler, okay, if you call people fascist or Hitler, that is likely to lead to bad outcomes because it increases the political temperature and it can lead to those people being attacked. There are absolutely, broadly, people out there that will think, I probably should be more careful then and not say that. Stochastic chilling effect.
To defeat him and the things he stands for, therefore, is by being welcoming and accepting, even when you know he's going to use that acceptance to advocate for terrible things. It's simply the civil way to behave. And if we just do that, all of the problems just work themselves out.
Also, the other problem with this is it's acting like Charlie Kirk is... You are giving this credence to this idea that Charlie Kirk is like this fucking debate warrior that can't be defeated. And he'll just come in and say his ideas. And that's it. Those ideas are then going to stick and that's you're raped. Well, no, because you have an alternative position, an alternative argument, standing up against whatever the fuck he's saying. You know? I don't know about Charlie Kirk's debates with political figures. He did get groiped. Dude, he got groiped. Although the lefties probably won't like that, to be honest. He did get groiped. He got a bit uncomfortable when they started talking about the dancing Israelis, didn't they? And Charlie Kirk got extremely uncomfortable when they started going on about his chocolate homosexual friend. What's that guy's name? Rob. That Rob guy that was on the stage. Anyway, yeah, this is stupid. There is absolutely no issue assuming that you've got good arguments or responses to, and letting Charlie Kirk say his piece.
Out somehow.
Anyway.
This is why Ezra Klein will say dumb shit like Kirk practiced politics the right way. The contents of his opinions, the actual things he advocated for, are irrelevant to the way that he practiced politics.
I didn't read that Ezra Klein article. What did that say? Was that, I don't know if it was interesting, good, bad, I don't know.
All that matters is that in advocating for those things, he gave the appearance of politely discussing abstractions, talking about, but never acting on, his bigoted and demented worldview. To the lib, politics is not about the expression of power. It's about the expression of self. It's an in-group to belong to. It's a fandom, a way to validate your feelings and beliefs, to signal to others...
Bro, the fucking YouTuber advocating for fucking anarchism on fucking YouTube saying this. You could say exactly the same thing about fucking anarchism. Your anarchist little club that you want to set up, bro. Also, the Ezra Klein thing, dude, I don't fucking know, bro. If you genuinely have got arguments or points against the stuff he was saying, then that's fine. Like, I don't know much about Ezra Klein. This guy's entire ideology is fandom. True.
That you have the good ideas, the ideas that people like. Whether those ideas actually amount to change is decided by how far from the eternal, natural status quo a lib believes them to be. The march of progress inevitably brings us closer and closer to the perfect world that we're all working together to build. And so bad ideas simply require gentle correction, not direct confrontation. Think of the term marketplace of ideas, right? Like they present this as a market stall where people can pick good or bad ideas. And of course, people are rational actors according to market logic who would naturally gravitate to the good ideas. The good ideas just outcompete the bad ideas. You don't really need to do anything other than present a better idea to defeat a bad idea because it's just going to be innately more popular. But if you're not terminally capitalism-brained, there's a problem that is going to leap out.
It was an apology puff piece for Kirk. He got raked over the coals by Ta-Nehisi Coates for it. They had a debate conversation on Ezra's show about it. And Ezra looked awful throughout the whole thing. His argument was raped, as you would put it. I might watch that on Kick as a follow-up to this. Not today, though.
Out at you in this analogy. Good ideas can't always afford think tanks and public relations people. They're not always funded by petrochemical billionaires.
Yeah, sure. Okay, dude. I hate the way these queers say it, but like, obviously, yes, some ideas have got financial backing and have a weight above and beyond the normal discourse of what normal people have. Yes, true, correct. I agree with that. Just don't be so queer when you say it, please. Sickening.
Good ideas might win in a fair fight, but why the fuck would people fight fair when their money is on the line? It also presents ideas, politics, ideology as simply a product to consume, a marker of identity.
But the thing, here's the problem. I agree that you've got lobby groups that have got much more weight to their ideas because they can give the government $1 bajillion to fucking put whatever ideas they want into fucking policy, okay? What does that tell us about the discourse or conversation we have amongst one another or political commentators have among one another? Like, what can that lead us to? I mean, I guess you could have a nihilistic view of it's all kind of worthless then because the big fucking lobby groups are going to decide what happens anyway. But I don't think it really informs us on how we should adjudicate the discourse that we engage in as citizens between one another, be that on social media, be that political commentators. I don't know, it just seems a bit of a worthless point. But
identity and vehicle for self-expression rather than the...
Well, no, what it is, we gotta not let the heckin' Nazis speak because they think bad things about immigrants and we can't let their ideas spread, so respond violently. I don't know, that seems to be the angle these people tend to take it.
means by which change is made. It's all just a great big exercise in open-mindedness with no tangible effect whatsoever. And this is why they fixate so much on crassness, on the coarsening of the discourse, because it's really the only thing they can criticize. That erodes trust in the discussion that they think will inevitably and always prove them correct. There's a set of rules that if were obeyed, they would always win. And the problem is that people simply aren't obeying the rules. We must force them to obey the rules by being nicer and more polite.
Being anti-Nazi is the thing you're making fun of? Yes, because I'm pro-Nazi. Correct. Secretly. Well, no, it's just, I'm just trying to ask, what I'm trying to find out is, well, how do we change the way that we engage with one another in terms of discourse?
Okay, that's wonderful. But how do I make money off depressed people?
I think Mildred would get along well with the rightoids who say we need to limit democracy and free expression because Islamists move in en masse and use local elections to push Sharia.
Sure, Scrimpin. Thank you for the $10. Thank you. Thank you. Yes, we're back in 2016, guys.
If you can say horrible things politely, that's what you're supposed to do. That's what they want. Because like if you say the bad ideas, they can then outcompete them with their better good ideas. It's brand management. When they're rude, it lets you do negative PR on their ideas. And when you're rude, it grants them the same opportunity. So you're not just someone that believes something. You don't just express your thoughts willy-nilly. You must always carefully consider the optics. Because you're a brand ambassador for whatever thing you believe.
Dude, I fucking despise this denial. I mean, obviously, for Ezra Klein can state his opinion, and that's his fucking opinion, right? And these people don't give a fuck about, like, the electoral political process, so they're not going to care about this. Gavin Newsom has to care about optics, yes, bro. Of course he has to care about fucking optics, dude. He can't go out there and bang on about how he's glad that Charlie Kirk's kids are widowed, actually, and it was based, and it was a great shot. And he loved watching the blood, the fascist blood fucking come out of his neck. Like, yes, he has to have optical consideration. And he has to take it a step further because he wants to become, at some point, probably the presidential candidate. So he needs to find a middle ground that allows him to reach the right in ways that ThoughtSlime doesn't even have to fucking think about. Because rightoids already think this guy's a totally deranged freak and would happily see him, whatever. Let's not continue that thought process. If he's talking... Yes, Babka, yes. He's talking about Newsom. No, he's talking about Gavin Newsom. He was criticising Gavin Newsom for saying, positive things about Charlie Kirk. And also, apparently, for saying Charlie Kirk was great at reaching young men in politics. The Democrats should learn from that. He is absolutely including Newsom in this.
You're trying to sell it. You're trying to be appealing. We don't want to lose normal people. We have to consider the demographics. You're not included in the demographics. It would never occur to them that this back and forth could have the effect of making bad ideas more popular. Because in the mind of the lib, bad ideas simply don't get more popular. Anyone who holds a bad idea simply has not been exposed.
Also, the other thing that this analysis completely fails to consider is how when progressives are totally raped on topics, it creates an atmosphere that leads to a backlash, okay? So, stuff like the reverse racism shit, stuff like all white people are foundationally racist, whiteness analysis. Immigrants are fine. Importing a fucking bajillion immigrants into your country is no problem whatsoever and you can't question it, and if you do, you hate Muslims, right? All of this stuff creates an atmosphere, especially when you've got like a sort of social control. And funnily enough, this is kind of liberal sort of anyway. But it's like when you've got this social control of progressive ideology over platforms that mean you can't even misgender someone without getting banned. It creates an atmosphere amongst people that they want to fucking backlash against. And then fucking someone comes along and goes, fuck all that shit, vote for me, Mexicans are rapists, okay?
Welcome
grab him by the
ChudLogic.
pussy. People are like, that's my
Chud,
guy,
when I
I'm going to vote for him.
New partner. When will we get to meet the ball?
Thank you. Thank you for the Prime sub. Thank you. And these lefties just don't want to admit this. They don't want to admit that their censorious perspectives on this, their denial that there's issues with free speech, their denial that cancel culture exists, right, led to this like spring effect where people get so pissed off, and then the opportunity comes along to backlash against it, and people are fucking jumping at it because you created this fucking deranged atmosphere where you're not even allowed to say, oh, maybe we shouldn't be shoving fucking hormones down the throat of children that are not developed yet. Oh, that's kind of transphobic, bro. Time for you to lose your fucking job. I think sex is real. Well, I've just called your HR department and you're getting fired. You bear some responsibility for the atmosphere that's been created, but they completely deny it when they talk about this. The reason Kirk has been increasingly influential and successful is not solely a product of this idea that bad ideas rise to the top. It's because you have also presented bad ideas. And on top of that as well, you said that the people that disagree with those bad ideas should be raped from society. It's so frustrating. It's so frustrating. And I've seen it firsthand. I've seen this fucking effect and dynamic firsthand. But it's a total denial or acting like that hasn't happened, you know?
Good alternative yet. And once they are, they'll always choose it. Someone has failed
and also, bro, it's not just like, and the thing is, people might say, oh, that's just internet shit. It's not. Go and look back, okay, at the 2020 fucking presidential campaign. Now, obviously, Biden, no, I'm not going to say that. Obviously, okay, at the time, Biden managed to win through an absolutely crazy, unprecedented outcome. Biden was able to win, okay? So that was good. But the impact that to put it simply, woke shit had, the way that the woke-tards got the Democrat Party to move a bit towards them, and the deranged fucking policies that they were pushing, like fucking defund the police and shit like that, okay? It then had this backlash effect that influenced the 2024 election, and it meant that Kamala was then anchored with all of these fucking insane positions, okay, that she had to answer to, and Trump totally fucking raped her from every turn on, okay? So although the 2020 election swung in the way of Biden, these ideas that captured the minds and Democrats moved towards somewhat had a long-lasting impact and a negative impact on the Democrat Party that further helped Trump get elected. And the thing is, retards like this might not care about electoralism and all this shit, but I'm pretty sure they would agree that Trump in office is not good and Kamala would have been better. Well, I don't know. Some of these people think they're the same. But anyway, the point is that, you know, this had real-world impact. The deranged shit that was being pushed by these fucking nutters, these bad ideas that were being perpetuated, had a real-world impact in politics. You know, even like the pronoun shit. Dude, what was that successful Trump ad? Kamala is for they, them. Trump is for you. Didn't that run in a certain area and had like some tremendous impact on polling or something? It was like a very super wonderful. Effective advert.
But how do I make money off depressed people?
Donating after 2 years, ThoughtSlime, let's go.
Thank you for the super chat. Thank you. But yeah, it's like, you know, they perpetuated some very cancerous ideas and then completely washed their hands of it when the topic comes up. And are like, well, it's just that the right are fucking, you know, they've just pushed all their bad ideas really well. Yeah, in response to you pushing fucking horrendous ideas. And not only that, making people feel, you know, under threat because they don't agree with those ideas.
Explain this sufficiently to the dum-dums. Once the dum-dums hear it laid out for them as simply as possible, then they're all going to jump to our better ideas. And this also means that if an idea does get more popular, it therefore must have some merit. I mean, if you're taking this free market logic for granted, if you assume that it's baked into how people behave, the only reason a bunch of rational actors would choose an idea would be if there's something to it that we're not seeing. We're obligated.
Brandus became a member. Brandus celebrates 10 months of membership. All I'm saying with the lights off Mildred is kinda cute.
Thank you for the membership. Thank you. Thank you.
Obligated to hear them out endlessly until we either convince them they're wrong or they convince us we're wrong. All ideas are therefore worth hearing out forever. Because the bad ones just go away.
Okay, it's not even that all ideas are worth hearing out. It's not even that all ideas are worth hearing out. It's that what is the alternative? State restriction on speech? Marauding gangs of Antifa super soldiers getting to determine what speech is allowed and disallowed? The best and most effective way to organise speech in society is to just allow everyone to say their piece with some reasonable restrictions on fraud, direct explicit calls to violence with imminent potential for it to occur, whatever the fucking thing is. Reasonable restrictions, but let people speak what they want to speak. What other fucking alternative is there, bro? Because the alternative to me is state repression, state suppression of speech, getting locked up in jail for tweeting shit. And I think that's fucking deranged.
Naturally, once exposed, no matter how many times the strategy backfires, they'll never, ever lose faith in it because it affirms their innate sense of superiority, that their ideas and their worldview is so self-evidently better than others, nobody could be exposed to it without...
I think he's an arbiter for the left. It's like if you disagree with him, you are a Nazi.
That's true. Thank you very much for the super chat.
Being converted. Because all libs really want out of all of this is to feel good about having already made the right choices, about believing the right things. Only small changes are possible, and so the stakes are therefore perpetually small, perpetually unworrying. The system will protect them, and the system cannot be broken. In a weird way, I think Charlie Kirk also kind of gives them that sense of superiority because he's their heel. He's the mouthpiece for the bad ideas that they don't like. He's always there to say the wrong thing, to endorse the wrong policies and argue in their defense, but never to actually complicate that simple relationship by doing anything himself. The plausible deniability he maintained also allows a lib to delude themselves into thinking that he could not be dangerous to them because he didn't break their rules, he didn't violate their norms, and so any danger he posed was abstract, imagined, easily countered simply by presenting your superior ideas. How brave of him to be willing to subject himself to that over and over. We should applaud him for having the courage to put himself in this position. Sure did it a lot. And that's great. That's great for us because we want him to do that because it's bad for his side, bad for his project, which, come to think of it, makes it kind of weird that he did it so much.
Dude, the thing is, what's really annoying about this video is there is a depth of criticism you could make when it comes to Charlie Kirk, his connection to Trump, his links to the government, the fact that he was essentially a pro-Trump MAGA propagandist, all this sort of stuff is very interesting to get into and talk about and dig into. But it is the most base level shit, complaining about free speech and then not really fucking suggesting a solution that is workable on the alternative that doesn't involve violence against speech that you don't like or state-sanctioned violence against speech that you don't like. What is the alternative, bro? What is the fucking alternative? Look to the UK and see what happens when you determine that there's some speech that you were going to determine is unacceptable and you end up with people getting put in prison for fucking tweets. This segment has taken a lot out of Chud. He's going to have to end stream early. No, I'm not. Dude, I've got another segment after this that I'm very much looking forward to.
Like, it's weird that he'd be so into it if it's bad for him. It's almost like he got something out of this process. It's almost like it helped him in some way. It's almost like this wasn't an exercise in the free exchange of ideas, but an opportunity for a fringe extremist to make his bigoted positions more mainstream, one which credulous libs happily played along with, one which they're all too ready to continue playing along with in the wake of his murder, because they find
Dude, this is such a retarded idea of how ideas spread and operate. The idea that there's just some guy preaching fucking hate and then everyone's suddenly hateful all of a sudden, right? Again, there's the issue of, like, you know, the lefties' behavior that's contributed to this. But also there are things that can happen in a society, right? Like the town next over becomes a fucking Muslim ghetto that can influence people to think, I don't really like that very much. Ooh, all of a sudden there's people walking around in fucking burqas and they're not speaking the language anymore. And, you know, I tried to speak to a woman and the guy responded because the woman's not allowed to talk to men. There's things that are being introduced to society that are antithetical to what I believe and think. Oh, look, there's a guy that's saying he's going to do something about it. Oh, there's a guy that's talking about how bad it is. Oh, I've been told that this is actually wrong to think. I'm engaging in wrong think because I don't like the idea of some burqa'd up woman coming into my shop. Dude. It's just like, yeah, things are also happening in society that influence people's ideas. You know, immigration in Europe, particularly the UK, is a great example of this. And that's why it's so important that progressive, left, liberal parties are willing to engage with the concerns and the issues. Because if Labour hadn't have fucking gone down this woke trash fucking Corbyn route and had a bit more of that blue Labour perspective of maybe we should be concerned about immigration, maybe we should be concerned, and spoke to those issues, they'd be in a better position now than they are, that they're desperately scrapping with reform, that have swept in and taken all that fucking anti-immigrant sentiment and fucking, you know, latched themselves onto it. And it's the same with the fucking Democrats as well in America. You know? If they'd have been a bit more willing to call Mexican slurs, then maybe they might have won. No, but do you know what I mean? It's about engaging with the issues that people are concerned with at their level and not... Obviously, you don't have to stand for extreme, crazy racism, but at the very least, not decry people for expressing controversial views in an imperfect way, you know? Democrat discourse is woke online, and Democrats are not that woke. That's just not true. Well, they've tried to move away from it recently, but in the 2020 election, they embraced the woke shit, and I feel like they won in spite of that. And then that then created issues for Kamala when she ran in 2024, no?
Off depressed people.
Norford became a member. Norford celebrates 14 months of membership. Engaging.
Thank you for the membership. Thank you. And all this stuff. Oh, God. Yeah, dude. Bernie, am I right? Damn, here's how Bernie could still win.
Idea of normalizing him and the toxic fascist project he represents more acceptable than having to endure being called an asshole on Twitter. Hey, thank you for watching this video that I thought would just be a quick one I could do on a current event.
There we go,
and
dude!
It wasn't a current event anymore.
That was
and now
great!
It's just a video
I enjoyed that a lot.
saying stuff that a bunch of people have already said. But, again...
We got to get into some politics. We got to laugh at ThoughtSlime looking ugly. Yeah, it was great. Chud Cole.